I love you.
Is that a yawn or
That was both a yawn and
a sonnet?
a sonnet.
Thank you. I love you too. Anyways.
Yes.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I'm Dee,
And I'm Isaac.
and this is Married to Macabre. So last time we talked a little bit about a book I read.
What book?
The book I talked about during my ghost story, the We Used to Live Here.
Okay.
So that is going to officially be the first book of the Married to Macabre book club.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So do you want to read it?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I'll read it.
Okay. So Isaac's going to read it, and we're going to recap.
Oh, wait, no. I didn't know I was going to have to recap.
I'm just kidding.
Fuck that. No, I'm joking. Yeah, I'll recap. I don't mind.
No, I'm just kidding. It's okay. It's just going to be our first official book recommendation, because I actually did have like two people reach out to me and be like, was that book good? And yes, that book was really good. It was complicated. It was creepy. Perfect vibes for October. So
Yeah, I was
highly
gonna say.
recommend it. So maybe this will be a thing going forward. We're going to have a book of the month or just a book for our little quote unquote book club, and we can all follow along
Sounds
and
good.
catch up on Instagram.
And if you ever have any ghost stories, experiences that happened recently, share those too, okay?
Or not even recently, just ones that
Oh,
are
it
just
happened-
deeply embedded in your memory from your childhood.
Well,
Those
I don't
are
have
the
any,
best.
so.
That's
There we
sad. You don't have any ghost stories? Nothing creepy ever happened to you?
Well, like with the supernatural?
Yeah.
No.
Really?
Yeah, what? You make it sound like it's like the norm.
You probably ignored it. I'm sure something off has happened.
Never. I guess
I mean,
it's,
listen, I'm the queen of if you saw it, no, you didn't. So sure, we can
You
go
really
with
are.
that. I really am. Like, nope, I didn't see anything. I don't know what you're talking about. Didn't hear it, didn't see it. I don't know what you're talking about. So
Well, then.
yeah. So the first book we're going to officially make our first book club book is We Used to Live Here. And I will post it on Instagram. Follow us there at Married to Macabre Podcast. Also, I wanted to tell you about something fun I did without Isaac
What'd you do?
when I went last week to the Edgar Allan Poe Speakeasy.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I went with a friend, and apparently it tours the country, and they pop up in random cities. Not random, but they pop up in different cities, and there was one back in August that I didn't get tickets to because it sells out. But then they did this and called it Chapter 2, and I'm under the impression that they're going to do another one, or at least every year, because it was here last year too.
Oh, yeah.
So I highly recommend going. It was so fun. People do these dramatic readings of Edgar Allan Poe stories, and then with each story, they pass a drink out to you at your seat.
That is so cool.
It's really cool because a ticket was only $55, which I thought that when you get there, you then have to buy the drinks. I thought the $55 was
right.
just the entry.
And then they pass you a menu with the drinks.
No, so it's not a menu. It's a set menu because each drink
It's
correlates
linked to the whatever the story they're telling you,
Yeah.
right?
So, for example, one of the stories was Annabelle Lee, and the drink was this vodka hibiscus. I don't remember what else, but it was called The Lover's Revenge. So they kind of correlate by name with the story, and they pass it out to you in your seat. And it's in this like really cozy old theater in Fort Lauderdale. And it was so fun. And there's a quick little 1-minute recap of the experience also on our Instagram and on our TikTok. So you can go there and check it out. And the next time you see that advertisement all over our Instagram, because that's where I saw it, it is not a scam. It's a legit event.
How come I didn't go?
Because you weren't invited. I'm sorry. Went with my friend. You couldn't come. You can't sit with us. But it was really fun. And go check out the recap at our Instagram and on our TikTok. And next time you see it, like I said, jump on it because it's sold out. And I actually asked some of the theater hands there, and they said that, yeah, the 3-night run sold out quick. So
Well, yeah.
super worth it. And the drinks, they're not like sips. They're like full-sized drinks.
They're trying to get you drunk
Well, no, it was, yeah, listen,
while talking about Edgar
Long-
Allan Poe stuff.
legit. And it's so funny because when they said the first story, The Pit and the Pendulum, everyone was really quiet. Everyone was like, nobody made a sound. And by the second one, people were like a little bit more noisy, but
I
not
was gonna say,
really.
it's going to get kind of rowdy. By
No, by the last one, it
last
was hilarious because they announced the
What is it?
story.
Is it the Raven or
No, it wasn't the Raven. They said they read the Raven at the first one. So this was chapter 2. They did The Pit and the Pendulum, The Cask of Montanado, Annabelle Lee, and then what was the last one? Oh my God, The Fall of the House of Usher.
Oh, I know that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really good. So in between each, I'm sorry?
No, go ahead. But I'm sorry. In between each
In
story?
between each dramatic monologue is this one guy who comes out and kind of introduces the story, and he's got like a little creepy voice. So after he would say it and like walk off stage and the lights would go off, everyone was really quiet. But by the time we got to The Fall of the House of Usher, people were hooting and hollering and whistling and clapping. And I actually made a comment. I said, "Wow, you could tell we're 4 deep," and everyone started laughing. It was quite the experience. And then after it's all over, you get a chance to walk up to the little like stage area, and you can like sit in the props and take pictures. But it was even funnier because everyone's a little tipsy.
Yeah, right.
So we were meeting other people who were there. Some people showed up in costumes because they actually encourage you to dress up. And most people dressed, just like nicely and in dark colors. But somebody came in like a plague doctor costume. It was hilarious.
No
And it
way,
was an
really? Oh,
older
with the
woman.
mask that has the little
Yes.
sharp, pointy
Nose.
the nose for the face mask, right?
Yeah, and it was an older lady, and she was so funny, and she was taking pictures of all of us. She took off her mask at one point. I mean, at one point, she started pretending she worked there and was like telling
Oh, really?
people, like, "Bye, have
She
a
was
nice
in
night."
character.
Yeah, it was.
That's funny.
Yeah, 4 drinks may have not been the best idea.
Could you imagine if somebody would have shown up with like a crow or something
Oh my god, I would have been so
in a
happy.
cage?
Well, no, not in a cage. I would have been sad, but that would have been fun. But either way, it was such a great experience. We did have to walk around for a while and get dinner because, like we said, we did not expect basically to have 4 drinks like forced down your throat. I mean, like, listen, no one's forcing it down your throat, but what I originally planned on having like 2 drinks max turned into 4.5. So we ended up having dinner and, waiting it out. But yeah, super fun, great deal. And I highly recommend checking it out. So that's all my recap. Do you have anything you want to talk about from last week?
No, let's get to the murders.
All right. Well, actually, funny you should say that because today we are really talking about something a little different, and we're not talking about a murder.
Okay.
This isn't precisely true crime. It's a true story, and it's really creepy, very macabre. So with that being said, let's go back to 1959. It's deep in the winter in the Ural Mountains of Soviet Russia. Okay, Soviet Union. 9 students huddle in a tent halfway up a mountain that name literally translates to the Dead Mountain. Or Mountain of the Dead, depending on like the dialect you translate it.
Where you lean.
Right? It's just depending on, I guess, the dialect of how you would translate the name. It would be either Dead Mountain or Mountain of the Dead. Either way, not a good sign.
I was gonna say, I don't care how you pass that to somebody. It doesn't sound pretty. Doesn't sound somewhere I'd take a family to.
Exactly. No, it's definitely not a family vacation. Like, we could start with that. So the temperature outside, 40 below zero.
Yeah.
Okay.
Russia.
It's yeah, Russia.
I guess.
It's like a normal day. Inside, a few bodies worth of warmth and a thin layer of canvas between them. And outside is the kind of cold that will literally freeze your eyelashes solid. Okay? So our story begins at the Ural Polytechnic Institute in Sverdlovsk.
Sverdlovsk.
Yes. I'm going to go ahead and just give a disclaimer. I'm probably going to mispronounce a lot of names in this one, so forgive me. I am trying my best, okay? So 9 really bright and athletic students are led by 23-year-old Igor Dyatlov. and they set forth to earn their grade 3 hiking certification, which is basically the Soviet equivalent of we can survive anything. So the hikers are Igor Dyatlov. He's the group leader and an engineering student at the Institute. He's highly organized, and he actually designed the tent's portable stove by himself.
Wow.
Then there is Zinaida, also nicknamed Zina, and her last name is Kolmogorova, and she is a radio engineering student and a very seasoned hiker, and she's described as very outgoing, determined, and very, very resilient. Then there's Lyudmila, and she is an economics student, strong-willed, outspoken, and very well known for her endurance. There's Rustam, and he is a graduate in mechanical engineering, and he's described as quiet, athletic, and disciplined. Then there's Nikolai. Nikolai is a civil engineering student. He's described as like the prankster of the group. He's funny, good-natured, easygoing. He's like the friend you invite to kind of chill the vibe out. Yeah.
Well, you've got all these brainiacs.
Yeah, which he is too. Civil engineering student. He's not, he's no.
You've got it all covered here.
Exactly. There's like a little bit of everything in this group. Then there's Yuri. He is a construction and hydraulics student. He is also very playful and humorous, and he's a very close friend of the group leader, Dyatlov. Then there's Alexander. He is a nuclear physics student, described as very intelligent and methodical and really quiet. Okay.
We'll keep our eye on him.
There's another Yuri that they call Yura, and his background is radio engineering student, and he's described as strong, fearless, and he once fought off a bear with a hammer.
There we go.
On a previous trip.
We were looking for you.
Exactly. We were missing the survivalist.
Right.
So then...
With a hammer?
With a hammer.
Okay. Did he bring a hammer?
I would think so. Like that wasn't described, but if on your last hiking trip you had to fight off a bear with a hammer, I would assume it's something you carry on the rest of them.
Well, I can imagine the group leader going, "Hey, Nikolai, welcome. Did you bring your hammer?"
That's Yuri.
Yuri, sorry.
So then there is Alexevich, and he is a geology student, thoughtful and practical, is how he's described. But he actually left early from this trek. He survived this whole thing because he left the expedition earlier due to pain in his knee. Mm-hmm. So he's me.
Yeah.
Because like 4 steps in, I'm going to be like, yo, my knee hurts. I got to go. I got to sit down. So he turned back and went back home, I guess, or went back to the Institute. Not sure where he went back to, but he dipped out real quick. His knee was hurting. So this team gets together, travels by train and then by truck and then by ski all the way towards Kholat Sykel. So that is
Dead Mountain?
Yes, that is Dead Mountain or Mountain of the Dead. It's a very, very remote mountain. It's frozen pretty much solid, and it is supposedly cursed. So cursed that the local Mansi tribe avoids it, which frankly should have been their first clue to not go there, but here we are. So the team is not far from their goal mountain when they stop to set up camp on January 31st, 1959. That night, snow falls heavily and there's a lot of wind. They took photos and wrote in their journals throughout this entire trek, including this night. But by morning, no one would ever see them alive again.
Okay.
And they leave behind many more questions than they do answers. Okay?
Okay.
So, the team was set to return from the trek on February 12th. However, when the hikers missed that date, their families obviously began worrying and were starting to demand a search. But at first, the officials were really hesitant to sound an alarm about hikers' disappearances at that mountain, because when they missed the day that they were supposed to check in and call their people and, do whatever they had set up to make sure everyone knew they were safe, another hiking group that was mentioned in the Dyatlov diaries. So they found stuff after, and
Like diaries and photos and stuff?
Yeah, like I said, they had been keeping journals and photos throughout the whole thing, right? Throughout the whole trek.
Yeah.
So when they reviewed these journals, it confirms that the Dyatlov group crossed paths with this other group that had arrived back already. And they had mentioned that when they returned in the middle of February, they reported heavy snowstorms in the area of the mountain where this group was headed. So in light of that information, they just assumed, okay, the hikers must have spent a couple extra days somewhere in safety, because risking your life just to make it back, or just to cover a couple extra miles to get back on an exact date, just didn't make sense.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So yeah, they're like, yeah, they probably thought, okay, our family's going to be worried about us, but that weighed against hiking through a heavy snowstorm. We can wait it out a day or two. So officials made the families wait. They were like, let's give them a couple of days. Let's see what happens. But then like a lot of time went on and there was still no sign of them and no mention of them, nothing. So many students from the institute, they volunteered to search for their lost friends, right? Because they were all friends. So several rescue parties actually were sent to the region on February 21st.
Okay, so what was that? A week later?
Well, I mean, they were supposed to come back February 12th. So
Was it 9 days?
9 days. Yeah, about a little bit over a week later. So one of these groups was headed by Blinov and another by somebody named Sogrin. Both of those groups had just returned from their trips in the same region, so they knew the conditions. So they were pretty ideal to go back out there and know where to search. Another group was actually hiking in the area and figured out that they were looking for these hikers, so they joined the rescue group as well. And then on top of that, planes took off from a nearby airport to search for the group by air. So they were spread wide.
Yeah, they exercised all the options too. I mean, what else could you do?
Exactly. So, because remember, they're going off nothing.
Yeah.
This is 1959.
Yeah, they don't have GPS trackers, I'm assuming.
Exactly, yeah.
That would have been helpful, right?
Yeah, a little bit. So there was definitely no trackers. These people are working off paper maps. There's no cell phones. There's really little to go off of. All they know is they were headed this way and something obviously happened, because none of them have come back except for homeboy whose knee hurt.
Yeah.
And he went back like a day in or something like that, way before.
Yeah.
So on February 26th, so after 5 days of searching, rescuers finally find the tent, half buried and cut open. Inside of the tent, the investigators found boots, food, cameras, journals, clothes.
Really?
Yes, everything left behind. But what happened?
Yeah.
Where is everyone? So the tent was taken by the investigators and strung up to examine in a room, and they were going to try and figure out, what the hell happened. It was kind of like an evidence room. Mm-hmm. So they took it there, they hung it up. So it's kind of like, think of like a sheet on
a drying rack thing,
or like on a drying string. Like, how back in the day you used to take like I don't know why I'm drawing blank on this word. But like, a rope.
There would be a string. I see a string.
With the clothespins.
With the clothes. Yes, baby,
Yes.
we know.
I don't know. I was like, why am I going blank? And honestly, I'm only thinking of that scene in Michael Myers where she looks out the window and sees Michael Myers hiding behind one of the sheets, like in the wind.
Oh, yeah.
And then she looks again and he's gone.
That was a good scene.
So that's why I'm like, that's a reference. Maybe not all of you know it, but look it up. So think of it as one of those. It's like a string run through it and it's like held up so they can examine it.
Sure.
And figure out what was an animal attack, like what happened. So the working theory at this point for the investigators is that someone or a group of people surprised these poor hikers and attacked them in the middle of the night, cutting the tent in the process, right? That's pretty much what they're guessing.
Did they find any blood or anything?
Well, they're looking through everything. So a major break in the case actually was made almost by accident. So an investigator that was working in this room with this tent had actually called a woman in who was a seamstress. He didn't call her to deal with anything regarding with the tent. He actually needed something mended on his uniform.
Yeah.
So he just like had a seamstress come and see if she could fix his uniform. And she saw the tent and she asked like, what's going on? What's that? Whatever. And I don't know how, but somehow in conversation came up like, oh, we think maybe something cut the tent and whatever. And she took one look at it and said very confidently, oh, no. Those cuts were made from the inside. I can almost guarantee it.
Wow.
Yeah. So obviously, this changes the course of the investigation entirely, right? Because now we're talking about 9 people, 8, because the other guy dipped out. So we're talking about 8 hikers in 40 below zero temperature, leaving clothes and boots behind, getting the hell out of Dodge, and not even like using the zipper. They cut their way out of the tent to rush out. But why? And like you said, like, is there blood? Is there like, it doesn't make any sense. So obviously this changed things, and forensic analysis later confirmed what the seamstress said was correct. The cuts were absolutely made from the inside. So there's no question. Except for all the questions that remain.
Why would you cut it?
Exactly.
Why not just...
Like, what the hell happened? That's still going to be the main question, right? And it's going to be a continuing theme throughout, just so you know. Like, what the hell happened to these people? This group of hikers slashed their way out of a tent in the middle of the night and have appeared to run out, some of them wearing clothes, some of them not wearing clothes, some wearing shoes, some wearing socks, some barefoot, and they ran into freezing temperatures and rough weather conditions. And another crazy thing that was found during the investigation is there was a flashlight found near the tent. A witness to the investigation stated, quote, "It was strange that while there was a layer of snow around 5 to 10 centimeters thick under the flashlight, there was no snow on top of it. And it was snowed slightly on either side of it."
So it was just like placed.
It was just sitting there after all this time during a snowstorm. That's what? So
Those fucking bears, man.
So, and on top of that, the flashlight still worked. So why would you leave behind a flashlight? A flashlight? A flashlight if you're running into the night in freezing weather.
And just like place it.
Yeah, and that too. It's just like sitting there. Like, it wasn't like they had to hunt it down. It was right there next to the tent. Like, super strange. Mm-hmm. So also, they found footsteps leading straight away from the tent. Some footsteps were barefoot, some had shoes, some had socks, like I said earlier.
Yeah.
And there was this speculation that some of the footprints could have been from the investigators or from the search party, but some of them were barefoot. So, no.
Yeah, it looks like somebody was trying to get the fuck out of Dodge.
Yeah.
You know?
Others were wearing shoes, but it's like, yeah, okay, maybe 1 or 2 can be investigators, but if you're finding footprints that are clearly barefoot or clearly like socks and not shoe prints, that's not the investigators. And these people were running from something. So, believe it or not, this is actually where things really get very weird. Yeah, not that it wasn't already weird enough. Like, it gets weirder. It actually gets so much weirder.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So on February 27th, 1959, the first 2 bodies are found. The bodies were of Yuri Doroshenko and Yuri Krivonishenko. There it is. Ha! All right. Yuri Krivonishenko. So investigation files state, quote, "While looking carefully around the area, Mikhail noticed something dark close to a cedar tree. That was a flat area next to the cedar tree, and on this were remains of a fire. About 2 or 3 meters from the fire, they found Doroshenko, frozen without his clothes on, and his hand was burned. And a little to the side of him, they found the other Yuri, in the same state. So naked and frozen. And under the first Yuri's body were 3 or 4 cedar branches, all of the same thickness."
Jeez.
Krivonishenko's right leg had no footwear on it. On his left foot, there was a brown sock, but it was torn. Another sock like this was discovered half burnt next to the fire. On the backs of his hands, the skin is torn. Between the fingers, there is blood. The index finger is completely torn. The skin on his left shin is torn, and his leg is covered in blood. There are no other visible injuries on his body.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So Doroshenko has woolen socks on his feet, and over these socks, another lighter pair of socks. But his ear, lips, and nose are covered in blood. And on his left hand, only the middle finger has blood on it.
That's crazy.
Again, no other visible injuries. Well, no other visible injuries. So
they got like massacred, basically.
That's what it sounds like to me, but hold your horses. So
there's more weird stuff.
It gets weirder. Yeah, I'm not even joking. I know you think I'm kidding, but it gets weirder. So medical examiners are still, because remember, they took these bodies and autopsied them. So there were multiple medical examiners on each body, and they're all still seeing this as an accident of freezing to death.
But what about their fingers being ripped off and...
I mean, certain details are definitely bringing questions up, right? Like, on top of that, during the autopsy, they found that Doroshenko had a pulmonary edema and a pulmonary contusion that was a result of blunt trauma. And the other Yuri, Krivonyshenko, bit off a piece of his own knuckle.
What the fuck?
Yeah, of what they assume was to either stay awake or to...
Were they on drugs?
That's a theory. So it was either to stay awake or to stifle a cry. And he had third-degree burns that could not be sustained if you fall asleep still alive. That's how it's described in the autopsy. So I'm assuming that it's something to do with the bleeding. Because you know how you can tell like post-mortem injuries because of the amount of blood loss or the amount of like clotting?
Yeah.
So I assume that specific finding of like the third-degree burns just not being... It's not capable of like those happening if you fell asleep while still alive.
Sure.
I'm assuming, like, I couldn't find, obviously, the exact autopsy transcript, right? But that's the notes that I could see, and it's very strange. It's worded very strangely.
Okay. So we're moving on to the weird part now, or?
So that's not weird enough for you?
Well, you said it. You
no,
said,
it gets
hold on.
weirder. It gets weirder. So, but wait, there's more. On the same day, 2 more bodies are found, appearing to have been crawling from the cedar tree back to the torn tent. So
Okay.
they were found in the space between the tree and the tent, and it appeared, the way their bodies were found, it appeared that they were in the process of crawling back when they just died, when they just gave out. So these 2 were Dyatlov and Kolomorgova.
Yeah.
These are the last names. So they were both found lying in the snow and appeared to have frozen to death while trying to return to the tent. But there's even more weird stuff. The evidence from how they were found shows that Dyatlov was vomiting blood, and Kolmogorova had a baton-shaped bruise at her waistline. Still, the cause of death was noted as hypothermia. And no suspicion of foul play.
Come on.
At least not yet. Because remember, there's 8 people.
Well, they have to take into consideration the blunt thing that they, the bruise.
That looks like she got hit with a
Sure.
stick, with a baton.
Well, maybe that's not how she died. Maybe that's just what knocked her out, and they're just they're not going to rule out the blunt force trauma.
Well, they said that the cause of death was hypothermia.
Well, maybe that is the cause of death.
Yeah.
Can't argue that.
No, that's true, of course. But not suspecting any
that's
foul
crazy.
play.
Yeah, no, that part is crazy, of course.
You're going to tell me a woman was hit with something hard enough to cause a bruise in freezing. By the way, in freezing cold temperature, you should not bruise so easily in freezing temperature, right?
You're right. No,
Scientifically,
of course.
and biology, from what I know of the Cold War, it wasn't very open with information, right? So, okay. So this woman has a bruise the shape of a nightstick, basically, across her waistline, like basically to the stomach, and no one's suspecting foul play until, not yet.
Till a hotshot detective showed
So
up.
no, this isn't. There's no nuisance abatement officer in this one. So on March 5th, the 5th body was found, identified as Rustem Slobodin. And his autopsy was performed 3 days later on March 8th, showing extreme trauma to the skull. And the pattern of said trauma suggests that it could not have come from falling or being clumsy and disoriented. So this wasn't like I fell and bumped my head on like a small rock. This was, I got my skull beat in by somebody. It's enough damage, the autopsy report says, to appear somebody hit him in the head.
Okay.
So there is a lot of force.
They're finally starting to use their brains, right?
I mean, listen, they still are saying these people are just cold, okay?
But the other ones, for sure.
They're all cold.
No foul play.
And it's like, yeah. His skull's popped open. It's fine. Like somebody could have hit him, but he also, maybe something else, but definitely not just a fall because it's way more damage than that. So yeah, exactly. It's all over the place. The remaining 4 bodies of Ludmila, Alexander, Nikolai, and Simon were not found until the snow melted in May. So, and the snow's not even gone, by the way. It's just like a little bit melted away. It's still, I saw photos from this finding and like there's still snow everywhere. I thought it was like summertime or something when they said melted away. No, still snow everywhere. Just a good portion of it has melted away where now you can hike through it much easier. So in May, their bodies were found by a Mansi native whose name was Kurakov. And he was trekking through this area with his dog when he spotted something in a ravine. Mm-hmm. And the conditions of those bodies would change the course of the whole investigation again.
Okay.
So like what I'm picking up from this is every time we find a new body,
I know,
shit gets turned on its head, right? So Ludmila was, in my argument, or in my opinion, the strangest find. She was found with internal injuries resembling that of a car crash. So she was destroyed, broken ribs, broken arm. She had been, so her face was missing parts of her lips, missing both eyeballs.
What?
And her tongue was ripped out.
Okay.
Uh-huh. 2 other of the bodies found there had crushed ribs, skull fractures, kind of the same injuries that look like a car crash or like a crushing incident, like something like a big impact. Mm-hmm. But again, no external injuries.
Oh my God.
So these people have no cuts, no nothing.
That is horrible.
It's terrifying. So these people were like, it almost looks like they were crushed from the inside. Like nothing affected their outside. Again, hard to bruise when you're buried in snow.
Yeah.
But I mean, come on, you'll have like a cut or a scrape or something. These people they're in a ravine. You don't just end up in a ravine.
Seriously?
You don't just walk into a ravine.
I was going to say, first of all, the tent being cut open, that's a huge red flag. People running away from it, people crawling towards it.
A disaster.
What the hell happened?
2 people camping out under a tree. Remember, they found like a little fire. They found like an abandoned like fire pit. Like they were trying to warm themselves. One of these bodies had a watch on it, and that time stopped at 8:45.
The watch is stuck on 8:45?
Yeah, the watch is stuck on 8:45. Here's the ultimate weird part.
Are we going to get back to the flashlight that was placed?
No, it just was really weird.
Okay.
That was so weird.
I don't know why I keep thinking about it.
Well, because it's freaking weird. You keep thinking about it because it's so out of place. Yeah. So
8:45.
8:45, and this is where it gets this is where the pinnacle of weird happens. Ready? Mm-hmm. There's traces of radiation on their clothes.
Radiation?
Radiation. On their clothes. After being found in a desolate, off the fucking map area. Like, quick side note, this pass that they're on is not even named on maps.
Oh, really?
It's now named the Dyatlov Pass. But it didn't even have a name. Like, it's that desolate. So, why was there radiation on these people's clothes?
I don't know, man.
I don't know.
It's a secret.
It's very secretive. So, Alexander, who was the nuclear physics student, was also found in the ravine. And he worked for a secret institute in Moscow.
What did he bring with him? Plutonium?
Maybe, but he was found with an odd-shaped wound behind one of his ears, and his neck was oddly twisted.
Whoa.
Yeah, so safe to say all these people's injuries don't match. Like, they match in the sense of broken bones, things like that, but it's just very inconsistent, right? Like, we've got missing eyeballs and missing tongues.
And then somebody's biting their fingers off.
Someone bit their knuckle off. The other one's got their friggin' neck twisted sideways.
But they all found, you said radiation markings on them?
The ones in the ravine all had radiation on their clothing.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah. So what do you do when this many young people die mysteriously in the middle of nowhere, half naked in the snow, some with crushed bones, some missing their eyes, because 2 bodies, by the way, were missing their eyeballs, a missing tongue, and traces of radiation? You say there's nothing to see here, okay? And you just keep going and you say that everyone froze to death. That's what you say, because that's what they did. So in May of 1959, the conclusion was...
By the USSR government.
Yes, the USSR investigators wrote in their final report that the cause was compelling natural force.
Well then.
Which is not really a conclusion. It's more like a vibe. Like,
we don't want to
you know what I mean? Like, it feels like what you say when you have no idea what happened and you just don't want to get fired, right? These people were found in nature, can't really make sense of their injuries, so nature did it. Right. So the Soviet government promptly closes the case and then seals the files and shuts down the whole region around the Dyatlov Pass for years. Like,
they'd rather not deal with it.
Like, you couldn't even hike to that area without special permission. So for the next 3 decades, the Dyatlov Pass files are locked away in Soviet archives. The families couldn't see them, journalists were warned off, and local whispers about military tests, UFOs, or secret weapons. Secret weapons.
Whippets, they're out there.
Secret weapons obviously start going around, right? The locals start whispering, rumors start. That fact of life and human behavior has never changed. Doesn't matter how old the case is or how new the case is, there's always going to be rumblings of some rumors of what happened. So literally nobody except the investigators who were on the case initially saw the photos, the autopsy reports, the diary entries for 30 years. All that was locked up. Not a single one. Just rumors, newspaper stories, and an extremely vague, compelling natural force. That's all we know for 30 years. Then finally, the late 1980s, the Soviet Union starts to crack open. By 1990, the Dyatlov Pass files are declassified, and the public gets their first look at the truth. Black and white photos of frostbitten bodies, the torn tents, eerie diary pages that kind of make no sense, and the photos from the last day have weird lights in the sky.
Really?
Yeah, in the background.
I was kind of hoping it was a UFO.
So there's just this strange light glowing in the sky because the film actually wasn't damaged in the cameras that they found. They were able to process and develop almost all the film. So they kind of put the trek together from the photos they found up until the last night. And I mean, these people looked fine. They do look, I saw the photos. They do look a little like glassy-eyed.
Okay.
But they also have been hiking through horrible conditions for days at this point. So they seem to be forcing a smile. But I don't really see that as too much of a clue because, I mean, when you're camping to settle down after a whole day of hiking through freaking snowstorms, I don't think you'd be like smiling ear to ear.
Yeah, I get it.
But some articles, some reports say like that the photos seem like they're smiling like at the edge of something. Like they're just like they know something's going to happen.
Well, they wouldn't take a photo, right?
I think they're just freaking tired. But it doesn't change the fact that, yeah, there were some weird lights in the background in the sky. Could be overexposure on the film. Could be lights in the sky.
It's the 50s. So
yeah.
I'm sure the camera qualities were...
Yeah, not ideal, right?
They weren't filtering lights too well yet.
So, exactly. And once the photos went public, the mystery exploded worldwide. So now we got rumors and theories coming from all over the place because nothing in those files actually explain what happened. So people went through these files like crazy. Like they read everything, and everyone kind of had the same opinion we have. Cool story, bro, with your compelling natural force, but there's literally nothing here that backs that up. It's all just information, but nothing is coinciding.
Yeah, come on, that's ridiculous.
So, yeah. So, we fast forward to 2019, not too long ago.
Oh, okay.
Russia officially reopens the case. Because remember, back in the 90s, they just declassified them. They didn't do anything with them.
Yeah, they gave the public access or
Yes.
to journalists.
Journalists, public,
Gotcha.
It just became open record. But in 2019, Russia officially reopens the case, promising to finally solve it, quote, once and for all.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. So after months of testing and going through the file with a fine-tooth comb and all that good stuff, they come together and they say that they now have the official cause.
Okay.
Drum roll. An avalanche.
Come on.
Exactly. I'm still going to go with no, my man. Like, I'm still going to go with cool story, but no.
Did they explain in detail how an avalanche
Nope.
could
Not
rip
only-
somebody's knuckles out with it? Oh, well, I'm not going to talk shit. I've never been in an avalanche, God forbid.
No, I know. Well, that's the thing. They not only said it was an avalanche, they said it was a small panel avalanche.
What difference would it make?
I'm assuming it.
Also, you can't say, oh, but what happened to the snow? There wasn't a lot of snow afterwards.
I'm assuming that, yeah, exactly that. It's not a large avalanche. Because, like, the avalanches we've seen, like, on TV and stuff have been, like, really, really big ones off the sides of mountains in, like, Colorado where it's, like, obvious it's happening. But then there's also, like, smaller little avalanches, right? But my argument is, how do you get your tongue ripped out by a small avalanche? And why are there 4 bodies in a ravine, like, way over here, and, like, 2 people hanging out by a cedar tree, and, like, 2 people trying to crawl back, but one of them's naked? Like, it just... Avalanche, I will say, will back up the crush injuries, right? Mm-hmm. But not the others.
Not at all.
Not at all. So, obviously, other people are with us on this one. So, they waited 60 years, okay, to tell us that the mountain did it. So, yeah, pretty much, like, they're saying that compelling natural force is, they're just saying the same thing. It's still a compelling natural force. It just was snow. Now it just has a name. It's like branded snow. Snow did it.
Cause of death?
Snow.
Snow.
So,
How
and
do you
listen,
say snow in Russian? Got to figure that out.
I'll call Vika later. Shout out to Vika. So, yeah. So they're saying after all this time, this huge mystery, it was just snow. Everyone should really stop asking questions and just let this one go. So for 60 years, the truth was locked away. And then by the time they're reopened, the evidence is already degraded. Witnesses are gone. The theories had gone nuclear worldwide, right? So,
No pun intended.
oh, nuclear? Yeah, no pun intended. No Cold War joke there. So, yeah, at that point, I feel like they had to come up with something, right? But they also waited such a long time, it doesn't make sense. Like,
Yeah.
why figure it out now? These theories had floated around from 1990 to 2019.
Yeah.
So,
Come on,
I
an
mean,
avalanche.
why now? And then you're going to end it with, yeah, it was snow. I'm like, okay. So,
You could have left it alone, an unsolved mystery, and I'm sure everybody would have been more satisfied than giving them such a ridiculous excuse as an avalanche.
an avalanche.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's how 9 hikers on a stormy night, well, 8 hikers because the 9th one went home early. So that's the story of 8 hikers on one stormy night, and a compelling natural force became one of the strangest cold cases in human history. But now we get to the fun part of the conversation, because none of that was fun. That was insane and terrifying.
Yeah, that was awful.
Terrible. So now here's the fun part. The theories. So since 1959, people have tried to explain what happened that night. And most theories are 1 part science and 2 parts vodka, because they are insane. But the freaking evidence is insane, right? So we're going to start from the most simple one to the most out there ones. The first one, obviously, the avalanche theory. The theory is that the avalanche buried part of the tent, forcing the hikers to flee in surprise, and that's why they cut it and ran out, and they were in all sorts of stages of undress because they were sleeping. And hey, like, snow science says it's totally plausible, so a perfect storm of the angle of the slope where they camped out on with a little bit of wind and a little bit of bad luck. But it also looks like some of them...
Yeah, but why was her eyes ripped out and tongue ripped out?
And another body had its eyes missing.
What is that?
It doesn't make any sense. So it does look like some of them survived after the crushing, quote unquote, avalanche. And that's the ones that were crawling back and like trying to, figure something out. It makes sense that, okay, they were pushed out by the avalanche. They dug their way out of the snow and they were trying to make their way back. But how? How did you survive an avalanche? Avalanches, even the smaller ones, are insanely intense. And being buried by snow sounds simple because like you hold a handful of snow and it feels like nothing. But snow is crushing. Like big amounts of snow. I remember when I was in Ohio with my family, I actually stepped into I was walking and I didn't realize there was like it sloped down. Mm-hmm. So I fell into the snow and the snow went up to like my chest line and I started laughing. But then I couldn't get out.
Yeah.
Padash had to like pull me. My brother had to pull me out because there was no way. Yeah. And it felt like I could feel pressure like on my stomach and back just getting tighter and tighter.
Right. And not all snow, like the entire like structure of it is not all just like soft. It could be like rock hard. It could be ice.
Yeah, it could be a whole panel. Remember, this is 40 below. So this snow could be like a solid ice block, like taking people out. It's crazy. But so how did they survive? How did they make it back to the tent? Or why didn't they make it back to the tent, actually? If they survived all that and they're crawling back and they're not like miles and miles away, how do you survive that part and then die trying to crawl back?
No clue.
It doesn't make any sense. And then even the ones found better dressed, right? I told you there were some bodies that were fully dressed.
Had boots on.
They had boots. They had an extra. One of the bodies in the ravine had like, I think it was something like 3 pairs of pants on. Like he was ready for like, he was like you. He's going to sleep in the cold. He's going like 7 layers deep, And then the other ones were like me. It was like, oh my God, it's freezing. Great. I'm just going to sleep in a sports bra.
Yeah, you penguins.
Yeah. So even the ones that were better dressed, they were found dying of the same cause of hypothermia. So it just doesn't make sense. The avalanche theory makes sense in some parts, but not really in others. The second theory is really out there. Something called infrasound panic. So apparently there is science behind this. I looked it up. High winds in narrow areas can cause low frequency vibrations that can cause disruptions in the human brain
and cause you to go nuts,
cause panic, nausea, and hallucinations. This one sounds more plausible to me for some reason.
This one for sure is better than the avalanche story.
As weird as it is, it's like losing your mind at a rave and acting a damn fool so hard that you hallucinate your way into the snow and stay by a tree until you die because noise. Like, it sounds insane, but like I said, there is science that shows that certain low frequency sounds for a certain amount of time does interfere with brainwaves and it causes hallucinations. Okay. Which is insane all on its own.
That's a stretch, I guess.
But
in the scientific world, maybe not, but to the normal, to the masses, maybe you had to come up with a dummy down excuse. Maybe the prime minister or the president.
They're like also an avalanche. So it's like, or a really weird rave, I don't know. And obviously there's another theory, like you said earlier, were they all on drugs?
Yeah, I think so. I think I'm going to
stick with asking you. Yes, I think so. No, but that's another theory, right? Like, did they just decide to hang out in the tent and do drugs one day and it went horribly wrong?
I think an avalanche did happen. They were on drugs and a UFO showed up at the same time.
Wow. That is a string of bad luck if I ever heard of one.
It's a better excuse than simply an avalanche. Tell me I'm wrong.
No, you're right, which is why I'm saying it's like, doesn't sound frequency also if it causes vibrations, it can cause an avalanche.
Yeah.
So there's nothing saying it couldn't be the first two theories combined. You know, these people went freaking nuts. They're hallucinating. They run out of the damn thing. They can't find their way back because they're all hallucinating. And then an avalanche happens. Crushes some of them, not the others.
It's Death Mountain, so I'm sure the conditions are like warranted, right?
Exactly. I don't think this mountain got its name for no freaking reason. You're not going to see
snow bunnies hopping around chasing like carrots.
Well, remember, they never made it to the mountain. They're on a slope on the way. They are near.
Death Mountain?
No, they actually stopped pretty close to the mountain. I guess they were just exhausted. I guess they were going to hike there the next day. Like they should have gotten there by the next day. It was that close, in reference to a hike. It was obviously a few miles away, but it was close enough where it's everyone who reads the story is like, if they only made it to the damn mountain, because this obviously happened in that small pass that wasn't even named on a map, which is another, honestly, if you ask me, like, that's another fact that creeps me out.
That it's not on a map.
Like, it happened in an area that's not on a map. Like, it's on a map, but it's not named anything. It's just like land.
It's strategy.
It's just like an open.
Because people keep dying in weird ways.
Well, I don't know. This is really the only thing I've read about in that area. But
okay.
I mean, that we know about.
No, but didn't the locals say that it was a cursed road?
Well, they say the mountain is cursed.
Yeah, so I mean, you can only assume that other weird shit happened there too.
Yeah, and I always believe the locals. Okay,
of course.
You're gonna tell me a local tribe that minds their business because there was a theory that the tribes people saw them, thought they were like coming into their land and messing it up, so they attack them. But the history of this tribe is very peaceful. They don't look for trouble. They mind their own business. So that was a very far-fetched theory that had nothing. Plus, remember, there's no stab wounds. If people are attacking you, there's going to be external injuries, right?
Sure. Yeah.
You would assume, right? If a group of people jump you, you're going to tell me there's not going to be any cuts on you or scrapes?
Yeah,
of course there are. So that theory kind of went out the window pretty early, but it was still a theory. Sure. But like I said, if the local tribes people are telling you that mountain's cursed, I'm going to listen to them. I'm not going to be like, silly tribe people who live off the land and spend all your time here. You don't know anything.
I'm from New Jersey.
So, yeah. So the other theory was exactly that, what we said, that they just did drugs and lost their damn minds. But it was unlikely. The next theory is military testing. So some believe that this area was used for secret rocket or mine testing.
That's believable.
It's believable. And there were certain types of weapons that would cause explosions that would cause internal injuries without leaving any shrapnel.
Well, no, didn't they do that to, what was that, Chernobyl?
Chernobyl was...
Didn't they blow up Chernobyl?
No, Chernobyl exploded. It wasn't supposed to. It was a nuclear plant exploded.
But Russia had something to do with that, right?
Well, it was in Russia. Chernobyl is in Russia.
I mean, what's to say that they didn't say, yo, we kind of blew up Chernobyl. Let's go to Death Mountain. Start testing over there.
Well, no, that's the thing. It's military testing does sound possible. Remember, they found radiation on these people, on their clothes.
Yeah.
In a desolate area. So, yeah, I don't think military testing is too far-fetched of a theory. So, remember that there were traces of radiation on some of the dead. And particularly the ones found in that ravine. And then that whole, like, no eyes thing gives me this image of just, like, eyeballs melting away. You know what I mean? Like, I know, it's not good. But that wouldn't happen in the snow. And then there's the argument that, like, okay, well, maybe wildlife ate their eyes. But then there would be, like, there'd be remains, right? You would see like pecking, like you would see like something there, but these eyeballs were plucked clean out. There was like nothing. It was just empty sockets. So don't get me started on the ripped out tongue. Like who knows how that happened. So this one to me, again, sounds like a good contender for a theory. So far I'm on military testing and that weird noise that makes you go crazy.
Yeah.
Now,
me too.
Yeah, well, now the last and
the avalanche.
So all of the theories.
I mean, yeah.
And they were on drugs. So the best theory, obviously, is one that everyone goes to first, and it was the tabloids' favorite theory.
The UFOs.
A Yeti, or something called ball lightning. Mm-hmm. And that's usually because when you can't explain something rationally, you could just add like Bigfoot or aliens and just call it a day, right?
Yeah.
Like when to this day, when something weird happens and it can't be explained, it must be a UFO. It must be a Bigfoot. Like it's got to be something weird. So to be fair though, ball lightning is real and it's a rare phenomenon, but it's just not one that would crush rib cages and not leave external marks, right?
What's ball lightning?
Ball lightning is like a concentration of of lightning that it like explodes.
Okay.
It causes like an explosion. But yeah, it could cause crushing injuries, but you'd be burned. Mm-hmm. So it definitely, while it could cause the injuries to the bones and like the burn that like guy had like on the side of his head, it wouldn't, nobody else was burned.
Yeah.
And the people with internal injuries had no markings on the outside. Ball lightning would absolutely not do that. Ball lightning
was one of the theories that they said.
That's one of the weird theories because it's extremely rare. It's extremely rare. It's a very well weather thing. Circumstance. So it's rare, but not. It just the damage doesn't line up. Honestly, the damage lines up more with a Yeti losing its mind on these people than it does with ball lightning. Mm-hmm. So
that's crazy.
After 60 years, like I said, the government basically said, after hearing all these theories, yup, none of that. It was snow, no foul play, case closed, stop asking questions. And the world responded with, cool, but we still have questions because none of it makes sense. So questions like, why was the tent pitched on such an exposed slope? You know, these hikers were extreme. Remember, they were going for their like class 3 certification.
Some of them were, I mean, they're all engineers, civil engineers.
Well, they're all intelligent.
Quantum physicists, right? Or
yeah, nuclear physicists. They're all intelligent and they're all highly seasoned hikers. Like these weren't like me deciding to go on a friggin' hike one day. Okay, these are people who do this constantly and they're looking for certification on like, I think what I had said earlier was the like, level 3 certification is like you could survive anything basically. Like you're a savant of survival skills in extreme weather. So why would people with that type of knowledge decide to pitch a tent on the side of a completely exposed
like
slope?
Yeah.
Yeah. They didn't even try to like go near rocks or they just right on the side of this weird slope with no trees except for the one cedar tree about 3 meters ahead. And it's just, it doesn't line up. There's no, and with the conditions, it didn't make sense to actively decide, I'm going to stay right here where I am completely exposed to the elements. Didn't make sense. Why did some of the broken bones look like car crash victims? And why does, like I said before, why do some of the photographs of the students look like they're smiling from the edge of something unspeakable? Mm-hmm. Like their faces look like they know this is the end. And they're faking a smile. And like I said, I agree. They do look spooked. But they also kind of just look tired.
Okay.
But still, it's weird.
Yeah.
Because mysteries like this, they stick. This story will last forever. And it's not just because of what we don't know, but like other creepy stories, it's more about what we imagine when we're trying to fill in the blanks.
Well, how far did we get to solving this mystery?
No, like that's it.
That's it?
That's literally it.
They never questioned the guy that left because of his injury?
Oh yeah. They questioned the shit out of him.
No, just to see if there was if there was anything weird going on between them, like on a personal level.
Yeah, no, they did. There was when he was part of the investigation. And nope, there was nothing there. He even helped them during the investigation by identifying not the bodies, but the belongings. Because remember, they found the tent first.
Right.
They didn't find the bodies until a couple days later. So when they found the tent and the things, the guy helped with the investigation and he identified all the things. He said, yeah, those are my friend's belongings. Like this was the tent. Because remember, he never made it to that slope. So he couldn't tell them where they were. And in the journals, they had already crossed paths with another team, and then 2 other teams had just returned, and they were the ones to help with the investigation. So people are hiking in this general area.
Yeah.
So hiking to Mountain of the Dead or Dead Mountain wasn't like, as crazy as it sounds, it wasn't like nobody was going to go through. I wouldn't say it was common, but it wasn't unlikely.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm thinking of like Mount Everest equivalent, something like that. Only obviously Mount Everest is a lot grander.
Of course, yeah. But
this one has some urban legend to it.
And some horrible conditions as well. Obviously not as high as Mount Everest, because a lot of people die on Mount Everest because of altitude and things like that. But here it just sounds like people die on Mountain of the Dead because it's just, the terrain is just impossible. Yeah. The weather and the terrain is just really difficult. But yeah, no, that hiker, he was cleared. And he helped with the investigation. So the Dyatlov Pass isn't just a crime scene. It's a Cold War camp story that's going to refuse to melt anytime soon. Because remember, at the beginning, I told you, it's a cold case. Mm-hmm. We still to this day don't know what really killed these poor people. So, as I said before, the Dyatlov Pass was not originally named anything at all. It was a sloped area between two peaks that had no geographical identifying title. However, as the mystery spread, the name Dyatlov Pass was made up by people. With all the theories and the rumors, it was made up at some point to reference the area without having to say, like the area where that weird thing happened. Yeah.
X-axis 304.
Exactly.
Longitude.
So, and then it ended up being used so often that it was officially adopted as the name of the area after the USSR collapse, and the name officially began being used on maps.
The Dyatlov.
The Dyatlov Pass. So, because this is exactly that. It's a pass between two high mountain peaks that opens up into a big area with a big slope and a cedar tree.
Gotcha.
So, that geographical name only exists because of this tragedy. If not, it probably would still go unidentified. So there is a memorial in the area, and the memorial does list all the students' names and the date that they died, and underneath it says, "In the memory of those who have gone and will never return, we have named this mountain pass in their honor, the Dyatlov Pass." And that is the completely confusing and terrifying story of 8 hikers that died on the Dyatlov Pass, and we still don't know what did it, except for a compelling natural force.
That is so fucked up.
Isn't that insane?
That is so bizarre.
Bizarre doesn't even begin to cover it. It is.
And I can't believe all these theories. They're still such a stretch.
And they're so far apart, right?
Yeah.
Like, they don't coincide at all. It's like it could be an avalanche, or it could have been these weird wind sounds that make vibrations and make you lose your damn mind. Oh, by the way, there could have been a Yeti there. Like, they don't, usually theories kind of like feed off of each other, and it's like, but what if this and that? No, these are dead stop. Each theory is a dead stop. Let's seriously try the next one. And then every time you think you have an answer, they throw in something else weirder, right?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, crushing injuries, bleeding from the face. Yeah, okay, an avalanche.
Yeah, but how do you explain the finger being ripped out? Or this lady with her eyes.
And her tongue.
And her tongue ripped out. Yeah. That's
exactly. And the other dude who was missing his eyes, by the way.
Yeah.
And then the other guy who was naked. There's a theory also that these people obviously didn't die that night. Some survived and tried to make it. And it could be just, the sad reality of survival hiking, where if somebody does pass, you take the equipment and use it for the ones living.
But the tongue being ripped out.
No, I know. We're still on the tongue.
The tongue.
Well, can I tell you something? So when I first heard this story years ago, that's where I was stuck too. I'm like, no, but go back to the tongue getting ripped out.
Yeah, there's not one piece of evidence that doesn't just say, but what about this?
And the thing is, none of the things suggest an animal attack. Because, right, if you die out in the wilderness, you're exposed to animals, right?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, bears are probably hibernating. It's 40 degrees under. There's no bears out there at this time. And I don't think there's like mountain cats walking around at negative 40. I could be wrong. I'm not a zoologist, but I know bears hibernate in hotter weather than that.
There's no like clawing.
There's no
on
clawing.
The skin.
Could it have been a bird? Sure, but to rip out a whole tongue?
A bird?
Like, a vulture or something that they
against 5 brainiacs?
Well, no, I'm talking about they died.
Oh.
They're there.
Sure. I thought you said a vulture.
No, not causing the death.
Causing the death. I'm like, are you out of your mind?
So, hear me out.
Yeah.
This bird was nuts, okay? No. I mean, the fact that a lot of bodies that are out in exposure, after they die, they get animal injuries.
Sure. Oh, okay. Yeah, that could be it.
Could be, except just like you said.
I think you solved it.
No. Maybe I solved the eye, the tongue thing, but that's about it. Because like you said, there's no scratches and nothing in the autopsy reports suggests that anything looks like that's what happened. Like there's no bite marks, there's no scratching. It just every time you think you have an answer, something weird gets thrown in. Because then after all that, okay, fine, an avalanche, some survived, they tried to make it, they died of hypothermia. Then the animals came and ate their eyes and tongue. Great. What about the radiation?
Yeah, that's true.
So exactly, right?
The radiation is like
the radiation of it all. The radiation of it all. Like, what do you mean you found radiation? So either way.
How did they find radiation after when they did the investigation, or did like a special group go in there?
Well, see, okay, I'm so glad.
How do you remove something like radiation without like exposure? You have to be like careful about it, don't you?
Oh my God, of course. You ever seen radiation poisoning?
No. I mean, well, yeah, I have.
You've seen like a person with radiation poisoning? Photos, obviously, not like a person.
I've seen a photo. I know what you meant. Yeah.
Okay. It's terrifying. You melt away.
Yeah.
But not just your eyes and tongue, like everything, because your chromosomes start to break down. That's what radiation poisoning does. So your skin starts to melt off you. It's horrific. I suggest not looking it up unless you have a very strong stomach. But it does also take a high amount of radiation. And they found remnants of radiation on their clothing. But my question, more than that, is what made you test their clothes for radiation?
Yeah.
Why is that? Like, when you do an autopsy, and yes, you do test clothes. I mean, I don't know how they did it in the 50s.
Maybe it showed up on a camera. Maybe on a camera they're... Well, no, but it doesn't.
Why are you scanning for radiation?
Well, I don't know.
Like, that's another thing. Of all the things I read, of all the, like, reports translated I read, nothing explains why they tested for radiation. Because I'm under the impression that that's not a regular test that you run. Like when you get a blood test, you know, your CBC count, this and that, your red blood cells, like all of it's routine, right? Cancer markers, sure, like T cell markers, all routine. But like they're not checking for some obscure disease that's like only genetically passed. You have to specifically test for that. I imagine it's kind of the same with radiation, right? Mm-hmm. Like you'll test the clothing for maybe animal hair, maybe blood, but radiation, that doesn't just come up on like a swab test that I mean, I don't think so. Particularly not in the friggin' 50s, but I did find it really odd that they decided to test the clothes for radiation.
Well, they know something we don't, so.
Thank you. Okay, that's what I think that says. But again, they said, we're all just looking way too into it. And it was snow. It was an avalanche.
A radiation
avalanche. But
alien-induced.
I don't know.
Radiation.
So we're just going to leave that right there. I highly recommend doing your own research on this because the more you read, the more confusing it gets. And it's quite the interesting rabbit hole. These poor souls that sound like they lost their lives regardless of what it was. It sounds like it was horrid. It was torturous and painful, and may their souls rest in peace. And I would like to say that I hope we find out what happened on the Dyatlov Pass, but something tells me we never will.
Yeah.
So,
unfortunately.
Yeah. So that is today's episode.
That was cool. I liked it.
You like that one?
I mean, no, horrible story. Horrible outcome. We've never solved it. So this is actually the worst story because there's no resolve. I meant like the pace. But the pace was nice.
But there is. It was.
Oh, I thought you were going to be like,
avalanche.
but
wait. Oh, no, there's more. No, I'm saying, I said, hello. Ago. Were you not paying attention? It was an avalanche. Like, come on. Yeah, no, it's definitely one of our more macabre stories, and it's not true crime, but definitely, I think, a very interesting story. So that's our episode for today. Again, find us on all social media. We're on TikTok. We're on Instagram, Married to Macabre Podcast. Give us a follow. We'll have additional information about all the cases we cover. We'll have photos from cases we cover. And you can check out the Edgar Allan Poe Speakeasy on both TikTok and Instagram. Also, read We Used to Live Here and give us your feedback. So until next time, I'm Dee.
And I'm Isaac.
And this is still Married to Macabre. Bye.